What's up, peeps? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jen. You've made it over to Cactus DIY, and in today's video, I'm taking part in the unique antique traditional tattoo inspired challenge. This one is hosted by two of my very favorite loves, Crystal over at the Crafty Creech, as well as Levon over at Le Vintage Decor, and I'm super excited to get into this one. I'm trying my hand at all kinds of stuff in this video, so if you like challenge videos like this, then just stick around because we're getting started right meow. Many of you may not know, I actually have a tattoo. I'd wanted one since I was around 18 years old, but tattoos were legal in Massachusetts when I was growing up, and I didn't know anyone in New Hampshire where to go. So when we moved to Arizona, Mr. CCDIY did a ton of research on artists and shops, and he bought me a gift certificate. I finally got myself inked in April of 2012, and honestly, it's kind of blowing my mind that that was close to 11 years ago already. My tattoo is a tribute to all four of my grandparents. I've planned to add to this over the years, but I just haven't had a chance. Maybe someday. I love having this permanent art on my body, and I carry my grandparents with me everywhere I go. So some of you might recognize this piece that I'm working on. This was actually my entry into the 2022 Spring Fling Challenge, which, oh, by the way, side note, that challenge is back again this year, hosted again by Sab at Sab's Rehabs, but I'll have a lot more info on that later. Anyway, I loved the personal nature of what I did to this desk, but now that I'm in the market for a desk with more storage space, I'm gonna sell this desk. Meaning, I don't want to wait around for that 1 in a million buyer who loves Jason Mraz as much as I do. So I scuff sanded, then primed the whole thing with a grayed out blue coat of latex paint. I knew exactly what I wanted to do for the design on my piece, but it required a very basic background color. So I'll speed through all of this of me applying 2 coats of paint and 2 coats of top coat here because it's pretty boring footage. I custom mixed this color from leftover cans that I had on hand, and I brushed or rolled it on as needed. When I started editing this footage, the paint color made me think back on the graphic for this challenge. And maybe somewhere my subconscious had this whole color palette in mind while I created my design. Either way, my next steps had me both excited and kinda nervous. For the first time ever, I'm gonna try my hand at cutting my very own stencil design by hand. Alright, so as you can see, I bought a pretty hefty pack of these plastic sheets as well as a ton of X-Acto blades. I may only end up using like 1 or 2 of either of these, but I'd rather have them on hand as I go through this adventure. I will use my self-healing cutting mat in order to cut out this stencil. However, my first order of business is to get a good design down on paper. I started out by trying my hand at drawing in a Word doc. You're gonna see really quickly, this is not my forte. Actually, if I'm being honest, I just have too shaky a hand to draw in a program like this. But I honestly don't know what to use to get better at drawing, on the computer. So if you have some advice or tips, leave me a comment below. Thanks, peeps. Anyway, I finished up what I felt to be an acceptable design for a half of a butterfly, and I moved on. I printed my design and got the lines perfected to make the cuts. Something I do know about traditional tattoos is their signature solid black outlines, so I'm going for something extra thick here for my butterfly. I went slow and steady, and I knew the original was a little too tall for the location, so I made some modifications on the fly. Once everything was cut out, I taped everything in place to double check. Hey, anybody need, I don't know, say about 11 excess polystyrene sheets? I can't believe I got this done in one shot. I definitely still have this tape on here. I really should have left a little bit at the edge. No big deal. I'm pretty stoked with how this came out for only ever having done this right now. This is my first time ever trying this, and I love how it turned out. The line's slightly janky, but I'm not even concerned with that. I'm just gonna get this thing applied. Woohoo! I placed my stencil after a coating of spray adhesive. I use Stencil's brand, and it's repositionable, works great. After the stencil was lined up to center, I made a few modifications so that it would lay flat. Then, with a makeup sponge, I sponged on a coat of the desk color to seal down the edges. I let that dry, and then with another makeup sponge, I added a first coat of matte black chalk paint. A hairdryer helped me to speed dry the paint, and I went right in with coat 2. I pulled the stencil immediately, and I used my X-Acto to gently lift a corner and weed out all those freestanding pieces. I used mineral spirits to remove most of the adhesive residue, and I scraped off all the paint residue, then washed the stencil. Then I flipped the stencil over and repeated this entire process for the other side of the butterfly. Let's bring you in, back you out a little bit here. We'll start on the first side. Not too bad. There's a couple little spots down here that I might have to fill, just some little pockets. Same up here. And then we come to the other side where basically every single line is going to need to get touched up. I honestly don't know what happened there other than it's me, and this is just, you know, how things go for me, but I had tons of bleed under. That's okay though, as you can see, it's pretty cute, and I'm definitely excited about it, and I'm excited to get going with some color. While I work on this other stencil, this is the one that I'm going to place on either side of my butterfly, I just want to take a second to talk about this challenge as a whole. We're going to get a little serious for a second here, because many of my friends on YouTube, specifically my furniture flipping friends, are subject to hateful comments and abuse just because of the fact that they have tattoos. And I don't get it. I mean, sure, not everyone wants a tattoo, but that also means that some people do. Tattooing is a form of art, of expression. Just like some people don't want marble sculptures of naked dudes in their living room, some people do. But the internet is a weird little planet all its own sometimes, so I'm super lucky to have you peeps. Our little community over here is pretty respectful of each other, and I have to say a huge thanks for that. My vibes, I basically operate daily under the tenet of don't be an asshole, aka live and let live. I appreciate having so many of you that feel the same way. I think that if we respect each other as grown adult humans who can make our own choices for our own bodies, I feel like there's just going to be so much more love in this world. And really, who couldn't use a little more love, right? This whole project is really an experiment in trying out a new technique. I've never tried to draw, paint, or otherwise emulate American traditional tattoo styles before, so it won't be a slight surprise that I kinda suck at getting things symmetrical and level and round. But I honestly tried to not let that bother me. I was really happy with the color palette that I chose, and I actually used this image from 7 Relics as my inspo. His Redbubble shop is awesome, and I will link to it below. I used this craft acrylic because I had the right colors on hand, but I definitely wish I'd picked up some chalk paint because the pigment was thin at best. This actually took 4 total coats. But you didn't get to see any of that because my battery died. So I took all of that as a sign and I finished up the next day. While I paint the last details on this butterfly, I want to once again thank Crystal for hosting and Lavon for co-hosting this challenge. My desk isn't antique or anything, but the spirit of this whole challenge really resonated with me, and I am so honored to be included. Thanks, gals! If you're still here and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that now. Then watch the playlist and check out all of these talented artists truly shine this week. Thanks for being you, everyone. Later, peeps. I guess we're recording. My phone just decided to do that all by itself. Okay, creepy weird. Do I have time before he comes back inside? We're gonna find out right now.
No, did I just start recording? Of course I did. No.
Better.